Welcome back to another episode of Grace Journey, Code Cracking News, where we crack limiting codes, patterns, imprints, conditions, and beliefs, keeping you from living as your highest authentic version so you can co-create the fifth dimensional life of your heart's deepest desires. Please like, share, and subscribe to get your regular dose of Code Cracking News. In this video, we will be discussing how to upgrade your small talk into vulnerable, heart-centered discussions, which is necessary to align to what is in your best and highest good. We'll be breaking down what small talk is, the limitations of it, why people engage in small talk, the importance of vulnerability in our communications, and how to upgrade your small talk into vulnerable, heart-centered discussions through my G.R.A.V.I.I method that will align you more to what it is in your best and highest good. Look, I'm out here doing this video outside because it's the only place I can do it right now. When I'm praying to God, no one interrupts me purposely, okay? So, first let me say to all starseeds listening to this right now, I feel you. I know what it's like to be surrounded by small talk, and I feel like you're from a completely different planet, because you are, and embrace that. Understand that you incarnated on a mission, and please feel free to disengage in small talk when it feels limiting to you. Anyway, why is upgrading small talk necessary for aligning to what's in our best and highest good? Well, when we only ever engage in small talk leading into our deeper values, vulnerabilities, needs, desires, and goals, basically we have no clue why we consider someone as a friend, or even why we may have married someone. Reflect on that. Listen, guys, if y'all hear like sirens and stuff, you know why. I'll just pause and get back to it. Anyway, we have no clue what our connections mean to us, and without meaning, our connections are superficial. And anything that comes from superficiality, not aligned to our unique soul frequency and heart, is not only limiting, but has the potential to create, negative karma. Allow me to offer an example of how small talk may lead into negative karma. Let's say a woman decides to start being vulnerable by creating a blog about the pains of her past that she's been through and how she's evolving to help other people going through similar experiences know they're not alone. Okay? Her cousin starts reading her new blog and decides to reach out to her to learn more about what's been going on for her in her life and to find out more about her new blog. In a woman's excitement, she begins pouring her heart out to her cousin, while her cousin wasn't sharing much about her own vulnerabilities, new ventures, nor challenges in life. But the woman never paid any attention to that in all her excitement. There was no observation into the fact that her cousin only called her to get into her business, to put doubts into her mind about her new projects. Her cousin was doing a lot of taking, but not a lot of giving. Negative karma was being created for the woman from her lack of observation and active listening. She later could hear multiple of her family members laughing and mocking her in the background of the conversation, while her cousin had her on speakerphone. How hurtful. Just because they talking to you, just because they family, don't mean they in your corner, baby. So what is small talk and its main limitation? The Oxford definition of small talk is polite conversation about unimportant or uncontroversial matters, especially as engaged in on social occasions. Most would view this as discussions like, how are you, the current state of the weather, the dinner you cooked the night before, and very innocent, non-controversial discussions. But this is totally not what I'm referring to from a fifth dimensional viewpoint. My definition of small talk is any form of communication that doesn't lead to greater unity, growth, peace, harmony, love, and expansion. Basically, any communication that makes us feel small. And some examples of small talk is gossip, slander, plotting, comparing, destructive, competing, insulting, and gaslighting. We should all know what gossip and slander are, so I won't bother breaking that down. And I've already broken down what gaslighting is, and I offered an example of it in my last video titled Honoring Free Will by Creating Space Between Desire and Action, and that video is linked to this one if you haven't watched it and would like to check it out. But let's break down some examples of small talk as it relates to comparing, destructive competing, and insulting, and how those forms of communication are not only destructive, but limit opportunities for deeper connections and growth in general. Ever met someone who, whenever you spoke to them, you felt as though they were consistently comparing themselves to you? I have, and it's uncomfortable, annoying, and in my opinion, a total waste of hot air. How do discussions like this make you feel? Whether you are the listener or the speaker, don't worry, I'll answer that for you. Small as hell. Because how small must a person feel who believes they need to consistently compare themselves to others so they can create some false perception that this is what makes them feel good about themselves? Allow me to offer you an example of how this might play out in small talk scenarios. Let's say a woman A has been alienated from her grandson and she is needing a listening ear and shoulder to lean on about her heartbreak she is feeling and missing him. So she decides to become vulnerable with woman B about what she's going through. And instead of woman B feeling into what the experience must be like for woman A, she uses that as an opportunity to start talking about herself, her perfect relationships with her grandkids, how she was only able to have a perfect relationship with her grandkids because she is the perfect grandmother, and any grandmother alienated from their grandkids must be a horrible grandmother. Not only did this scenario leave a lasting imprint of self-doubt in woman A's heart and mind, it ruined any and all opportunities for woman A to ever feel comfortable opening up and being vulnerable with woman B ever again. But it also limited woman B from creating a bond with someone should she ever be going through similar challenges and needing a listening ear. It's completely destructive. What might destructive competing look like? Alright, let's say man A is seeking to build a deeper friendship with a woman that man B has a crush on. So man B decides to start planting seeds of doubt into the mind of man A to make him believe he isn't good enough to get any closer to his female friend. Yet, the female friend wants them all to be friends. So this had the potential to either delay or prevent any further growth of any of the relationships. Insulting is self-explanatory. It's name-calling, putting someone else down, and disempowering them. All the things we learn in preschool not to do, okay? Yet grown-ups show up like this every day, ruining potential opportunities to collaborate, lean on, build, and grow together. So why do people engage in small talk? Well, to put it simply, they have absolutely nothing else to talk about. Why? Because most times they are completely desensitized to their emotions, so they lack all emotional intelligence, or they ain't about nothing, especially not that life. Meaning, when you are talking about something vulnerable you are going through, they can't relate because they lack that level of intimacy in all their other connections, including the ones they may brag about to you. They usually have no goals, values, nor aspirations in life, so why not put you down about yours? They feel small about themselves and are most times envious of even their own shadows. What is the importance of having vulnerable communications? The American Society of Administrative Professionals offers 6 benefits of vulnerable communications. Let's break those down. It offers a sense of camaraderie, which is essential to teamwork. And basically, we are incapable of operating as team players with anyone or in a relationship without vulnerable communications. Why? Because no trust nor true engagement is ever cultivated. We miss out on the goals and intentions of all our discussions, so why talk at all? Vulnerable communications also build confidence because it takes confidence to reveal the most sensitive parts of ourselves through vulnerable chat. And once we get in the habit of it, it makes us that more confident about ourselves. Chatting vulnerably cultivates empathy, which is necessary to create anything sustainable, whether it's a business, organization, friendship, romantic relationship. Without empathy, we might as well not even begin anything new. If we are operating a business, it's important that we know the consumers we are serving so we can gear our services to their specific needs. Vulnerable discussions lead to higher bravery and resilience because we've laid our hearts out on a table to be fully seen, so there's nothing more left to hide and fear. We essentially become wiser, braver, stronger, and greater opportunists with vulnerable communications because it improves our overall emotional intelligence. So how can we upgrade our small talk and more vulnerable, heart-centered discussions? I say, make it gravy, baby, through my gravy method. G for goals. A lot of times we aren't even aware of the main goals of our discussion. So I feel self-awareness around the goals of our discussions is crucial, as well as making our discussions more goal-oriented, meaning speaking more about our goals, where we like to see ourselves and how we like to grow. I feel this removes perfectionism out of all discussions, allows space for growth and for healthy competition as we become accountability partners with the person we are speaking with. R, reflection. And A, active listening. Ever spoke to someone that takes up the entire conversation, that you can't get a word in edgewise? I have. And I've noticed that they have absolutely no clue how many times we've heard their same stories over and over again, like a broken record. Active listening has been psychologically proven to create better communications as well as better relationships in general. So before we rush right into getting our points across or to try to prove something, it's always good to pause and reflect to make sure we've heard what the other person just said. Like, let me make sure I heard you right. Are you saying X, Y, Z? Also, reflecting during discussions allows us to tune into the feelings of the other person, putting ourselves into their shoes or reflecting on a similar experience we've had in our past so that our responses can come from a place of what we would have liked to hear when we were going through that similar situation. V is for values. How often do we talk about our values with other people? I feel values are hugely underrated because I find that not many people talk about them, at least not with me. Our values are a major part of who we authentically are, and I feel by gearing discussions around values opens the space for people to get to know one another more intimately. I is for innovation. When we are vulnerable, we become more solution-focused in our discussions because our emotions are out in the open. We are listening and our needs and desires can be heard, and solutions are often innovated when we are focused on improving rather than just ranting. And finally, I for I statements. Ever been in a debate, heated discussion, or argument where you felt like everything was all your fault? Of course you have. We all have. Perhaps it could have been because every other word out of the other person's mouth was you, which never allows either person's feelings to be heard. And if you've ever spent your life in therapy, which I have, you know that I statements place your point of view back on your own unique feelings so they will be heard from a space absent of blame and victimhood. Like, I feel you. Allow me to make sure I got you. You said X, Y, Z, and I believe, I understand, yet I'm feeling ABC. Simple shit. Anyway, try my gravy method out and see if you become more intimate, brave, confident, empathetic, and vulnerable in your discussions, bringing you back into your heart and aligning you to your heart's deepest desire.